So good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Situ Talks. So on this episode, we shall be having a very, very, very wonderful person that I look up to, and his name is Baseman. So Baseman, thank you for taking our time for this.
Thank you, bro. It's a privilege to be here.
I've always wanted to do this ever since I saw a tweet about how people don't accept their faults and how people don't really, how self-pity is underrated. So how did that tweet come about?
Oh, yeah, that was sometime last year, and it was the middle of my IT internship period, right? And I delved into what, right? Because I'm a bookworm, and more on books on technology, on life, and just exposure. And the current book I was reading was how to not make yourself miserable about anything. Right.
That sounds like a nice book.
Yeah, I mean, American PhDs are awesome when it comes to writing books, right? American professors, really good at psychology. And it was a book that kind of opened my mind to a lot of the subconscious things we do that really degrade our self-esteem and our potential to do amazing stuff, right? And I started to see those things in my life as well, right? From the subtle negative voices in your head, always criticizing the things you do, right? And seeing the bigger effect on your productivity, on your success, on impact, and how you let all those little things slide. But in the long run, it really messes you up. And for me, it started to uncover a lot of bottled up emotions. And personally, I just reached a point with myself where I had to tell myself the truth. Like, bro, I understand. Yeah, I understand. Like, you're so, ambitious or purposeful, and there's so many things you want to achieve. But you have to let yourself cut some slack, right? Forgive yourself for some steps that you took that were not in your head amazing, or they were mistakes, but you're human, right? So for me, that day, after having that moment with myself, I just had to come to him like, look, yes, you missed some shots, right? You did some stuff that was not you're not at your best, but forgive yourself. And I just think I had to share this with someone else, because definitely there are people going through stuff like this who have not forgiven themselves for different stuff that happened in their lives. And I was just like, if people connect to this, they connect. If they don't, they don't. But I have to push this out. So yeah.
The funniest thing is, I believe that's what stops most people from being great, because they actually don't accept it for what it is. Rather than say, okay, I fucked up, and because of that fuck up, I'm not willing to grow. Do you understand that type of perspective? Because I remember the first time I started music. Oh God! I remember they played the first song in a room, and there were like 5 other people that I did not know. And when they heard it, they were like, "This is trash. This is whack. This is this is that." I wanted to cry. But there are people that same situation, after saying such things, they won't go back to music. They won't even go back to what they love. But I took it as, you're criticizing my work. Okay, I should be better. I accepted the mistake. Yes, the production was terrible. I just started. The lyrics were, I just started. But I saw the mistake and I said, I want to be better. Yeah. That's the whole idea. So what would you say has been your biggest mistake, and how did you get out of it?
That's a very, very tricky question. Because trust me, in life, there are many, many, many mistakes. Right? I would say, fundamentally now, at this stage of my life, what I term now as my biggest mistake is a mentality I had on success. Right? Coming into uni, I was kind of obsessed on the kind of life I wanted to live because of the exposure I'd already gotten right from my secondary school days, right? And having siblings who studied outside the country. And when it was my turn, I was like, oh, you have to be here. Oh, it was painful. It was very painful being stuck in Nigeria and then hearing all the things you'd hear about Covenant University, right? So that young 100-level me was very obsessive about projection, right? About trajectory. If I'm here, who are the people that have passed through this place and have done amazing things? What did they do? What did they focus on? What did they sacrifice, right? And then I kind of dived into a mentality of there's just one path to that success, right? And it's a mistake I made because it took me a while for my eyes to open and see that, look, in life, there are so many paths and so many tracks to getting to one destination. And then, thank God for the kind of world we live in today, especially 2020. 2020 really forced everybody to have a mind shift. No matter who you were, no matter how much money you had, you were forced to reevaluate your life. Because all the things that looked important, the flying around, the laundering money, at this point it was almost life or death. Everybody had to mellow, right? And that changed my trajectory on finances, on money, on the steps to take, what was termed as balance in life. And for me, it just opened my head to, you don't have to obsess about just one path to success or greatness. It's find what you have and who you are, and just keep building on that. For me, that was like the best turning point from mistake. Yeah.
So, Baseman, who are you? Let me ask. What are your goals? Let me ask again.
Who am I? Okay. First and foremost, I'll say I'm an ambivert, right? Ambivert, yeah, which is a combination of introversion and extroversion, right? I love people, I love speaking, I love going out, I love the high life, right? But I'm also an introvert because I draw a lot of energy from being within myself, also from praying, from meditating, from studying the Bible as a Christian. And for me, that balance, or rather those two sides of a life, kind of define a lot of things I do, because I'm also very purpose-driven, right? I love expression, and I find some of the best forms of expression or finding yourself is in service, right? For me, I feel service is usually at the epicenter of a lot of things.
You should be able to give out to people.
Exactly. And even in giving out, the mistake I find most people make is that even in business, the real core of business is service, right? And when you learn those fundamentals, it transforms firstly from your customer service to your value propositions, to when you scale to understanding value. All those things lie back to service, and service really is bent on being selfless and putting yourself out of your position.
Right?
Exactly. What does this person actually need? How do I sell to them? And that's why a lot of people fail in business as well, because they're building their brand, they're building everything they want to sell about them, forgetting that they're not the ones going to buy it. It's someone else.
But you know, the beautiful thing about life is when you are doing something, there's always a negative aspect about it. There's always that negative, self-centered, narcissistic thing you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, exactly. So what's that narcissistic thing about Baseman, about what he's doing?
No, it's fair. It's a very good question. I'll say I have a tendency to get distracted, right? Or not distraction, obsessive about a particular goal or a focus, and then it tends to show on other things around, right? For me personally, let's use the narcissistic view, right, of when you prioritize a set of things, automatically other things become what? Below that level. So you have blind spots, right? You forget some other things that are common. I mean, we're human beings, we are social factors, right? We're social animals, rather. So there are certain things we won't see about ourselves that others will see about us. And it's one of the things I love about constructive criticism, having people around that can always call your bluff on stuff like that. And for me, I've noticed the most frequent one of that is, once I focus on some sets of things, a number of other things don't really measure up, I let it go. So it's like, guy, what's up with you? You don't catch up with, some certain things. Like, for example, now, growing up, I used to be a lot more fanatical about football, right? I still love sports, don't get me wrong. Exactly. You see that, and that's because that's one of the side effects of finding a bubble or finding a world I was in love with and immersing myself in it so much that all those other passions, right, are now suddenly becoming a bit minor. Because for me, the perspective was, where do I fit in the grand scheme of things, right? When I'm going to look back at my life, what did I really do for the world? And I've passed the stage of being recruited as a star footballer or something. I had to be blunt with myself.
Musa is still playing, but
yeah, but I had to be blunt with myself that if I can't be the, Ronaldo of football, I could at least be the Picasso of something else. Do you get? And that drive, that willingness to always constantly improve and get towards somewhere also has a negative effect of neglecting some certain things. And that's why for me, I've become really aware of those certain things that I've neglected or become a bit obnoxious to. So I just have the right people or the right ecosystem to always keep me aware that, guy, you are lapsing here. Never forget that. So yeah.
I hope people can actually see the good thing about having good friends that can give you constructive criticism. Not criticism that...
No, break you.
Yes, exactly. Constructive criticism. Okay, you did this. This is what happened. This is why you should not do it. I've forgotten what or which psychologist said it. It is the XYZ criticism. So I basically just said, you did this. This is what happened, and this is why you should not do it. Yeah. So it's beautiful that you have friends like that, to be honest. And personally, I asked you. I said, okay, what are your plans for life? And you told me, but people that are viewing, they don't know. So please tell them.
Okay. Firstly, I would always love to I love chipping this in conversations. I feel one of the most destructive questions you could ever ask a child is, what do you want to be in future? Why? Because you make a young child at such a young age that is so ignorant of the world or uninformed of the potentials and possibilities of life to sum up their entire existence into one word. And that is a massive, to me, I find it a massive fallacy, because at 10 years old, I can't tell you what I want to be for the next 70 years.
But there was something I saw online, and it said, what makes a child, what makes a scientist but a child that never lost curiosity?
Yeah.
So to an extent, you actually should know what you like when you're younger.
But you like many things, and you do many things in a lifetime. You never do just one thing, no matter who you are. Think about it, that's why the people, you have the Platos, the Aristotles, the Socrates, some of them were physicists, they were still mathematicians, and literally the world we're living today, is an offset of what they founded, right? If they had boxed themselves into the confinement of, my father said I must only be a mathematician, that's all I'll do for the rest of my life.
They did not listen to their father.
Right? Do you get? So for me, that's why I say that's a very destructive question. What you should ask people more is, what do you want to do? Right? Let me give you an example. One of my biggest motivations in life is Steve Jobs. Right? Jobs at a young age looked at the technology industry, looked at the computing industry, and just like people like Bill Gates, early on he saw the vision of computers are not just for laboratories, they are going to be in people's houses, they're going to be in offices, right? When at a time where that was mad, like nobody, if you heard, they heard you say that, they'll say, who's this small boy that doesn't know anything, right? And he started what? He built the first Apple computer, the second one, the Macintosh, right? And then what happened? Someone down the line, the same people he hired to run his board of executives kicked him out of his own company, right? And he did not tie his entire existence and identity to his company. He moved on, met the guys that started Pixar, built Toy Story. They begged him to come back to Apple when Apple was in crisis, and he picked Apple back up. That's someone that has learned the fundamentals of, you don't tie yourself around, I must be one thing, and if that thing doesn't work out, my life is dead. No. You have to learn that you can do many things in a lifetime. And that's why I said that's a very destructive question, because if you tie yourself to a vague identity or a vague goal, if that goal doesn't work, you end up in life crisis. And it happens to a lot of people. So for me, I've told you who I am in the context of not fixed identities of and this and that. No, fundamentally I'm a Christian, that's my belief system. I am an ambivert, that is my personality type. That is where my strengths and weaknesses are. I never told you I'm a doctor. I could be a scientist because of curiosity and I can build insane stuff. But when I retire, something will happen now. Why do you think some footballers go from being players to coaches? If they tie their entire identity on being that number 7 striker, the day your leg break, that's the end now. Do you get? So for me, I'll say now, what is in my scope of work, the things I want to do for the next few years, is technology, right, and business, but mostly tech-centered businesses and tech-enabled businesses. So currently, I work as a junior machine learning engineer, which as an overview, I'm a data scientist, right? And I'm really, really in love with artificial intelligence and entrepreneurship in that space, because the way the world is going, so many things are going to be automated, so many jobs that were menial. Before you know it, robots are coming to clean your house.
Robots are already doing that.
Exactly. To an extent. Before you know it, so many things will be. And that would also give avenue for people to also chase things that make us more human. Right? Once the problems of finances are settled to a limit, people can go into more occupations that make you human. Right? Painting, music, even to managing people and connecting with people. Those are the real jobs of the future. Artificial intelligence embeds this, it helps this a lot. And for me, that's very interesting, right? So I see myself in that space. And also business. I have a knack for business. I have a knack for working with people, for battling out finances and saying, oh, where do we invest this in? What do we do that? And just fun stuff like that. So, yeah.
So, if I am correct, you are a tech guy that loves business.
Yeah.
So how did you find that? How did you know?
Experimenting.
Experimenting.
A lot of failed experiments to get.
A lot.
Yeah, there's an emphasis on that. Trust me, because people feel like you just wake up one day and then maybe something hits you in the bathroom and you figure out, oh, I'm good at this. That never worked.
So how did Baseman know?
How did Baseman know? A lot of experiments. I mean, back in secondary school, I tried graphic designing. I used to do jewelries from all those loom bands to pendants. I used to sell. Right, across the two secondary schools I went to, a lot of people knew me then for that. Then I still love music. I used to play instruments, but that was more of like a creative passion side. I knew that I liked doing that. I even used to run marathon running. Like, yeah, I run marathon. I don't look it. Like I said, I don't look like a lot of.
Yeah, shocking me today.
I immersed myself in a few things because I knew that, honestly, if there's one quote I know that I leave this school with, I will never forget, because it was in my 100 level. I heard our chancellor say it was, extraordinary results will only come out of extraordinary sacrifice, and I fell in love with that quote because I know I follow guys like Kobe Bryant and co, and like if you hear these guys talk of the hours and hours and hours, and I was like, damn. I mean, I have so many interests, right? But I don't want to be known as that guy that is doing 10,000 things, but it has not even reached anywhere in anything, right? I said, at least let me pick one thing. I might not do it for all the years of my life, but if I'm going to do it for 10 years, I would do it as the best I've ever been. I would at least be one of the top 3, top 5 people that will come to your mind in that field, right? So yeah, I immersed myself in that and a lot of other things. I mean, I used to play basketball as well, and it was fun. I'd go to different parts of Lagos, Ikeja. I knew all the big boys in Lagos that time. I used to play b-ball, organize hangouts, parties everywhere, right? So yeah, I know I don't look like
a lot of experiences.
Right, so I knew that, and I loved b-ball, I loved those sports, but I knew that for me it's more of vibes than it is of passion, because I knew the guys that would work 2-4-7, learning how to dunk, all that thing. I knew, as much as this is fun, this is not for me, right? This is just a recreational thing. This is not something that I can risk breaking my legs for. Do you get? And then from there, where else did I go to? Then I came here. Right from secondary school, I had reading a lot of books on business, right? And I just found it very fascinating how guys could build economies, change stuff, and nature of work would change because some guys just dead could be different, right? And then I got here, I came to Cook Read. I met a lot of cool guys doing really cool stuff, running companies, winning grants, cash.
At a young.
Exactly. So that really helped me. I explored digital marketing, tried a few campaigns, tried event management, joined societies like Enactus, where I actually now got to lead at a very young age.
You have to tell people what Enactus is.
Awesome. So Enactus is a global NGO that trains students on entrepreneurship, right, by giving them experiential learning. So you go into communities and you conduct things called needs assessments, right? You figure out what are the problems these people are facing. And then you start off community development projects. But you don't leave them as projects, because the problem with doing one-off projects is there's no sustainability. If there's no sustainability, I help you by giving you a fish today. I never taught you how to fish for yourself. You're still going to be hungry, and I've just created a larger want, a larger, you get, void that was there before. It doesn't help anyone. So aside from just building those community development projects, we now try to fashion them out into businesses, into sustainable social businesses. And that is the beauty of the business model of societies like Enactus, really. And it opened my eyes to a lot of career progressions or trajectories, right? There are guys that have made a big time in law, that have made a big time in building NGOs and just focusing on maybe increasing the rate of education for different underserved communities and students there and people who would never get access, to proper education and crazy stuff. And that really opened my eyes to like the world of possibilities, right? And then after that, during the lockdown was a very crazy time for me because that was the first time that we had so much time. I mean, just in 200 level, right? So I explored a lot of stuff. I learned about project management. Then I delved into data science. Then just took a few courses on Udemy because that was when a lot of the noise was coming out. And Harvard Business Review even gave a quote like a year before saying, data science is the sexiest job of the 21st century. So I was like, wow, me too, I want to chop this.
You want to be the sexiest.
And I took a few courses. Some of it looked very big at once, like trying to swallow a whole bowl at once, right? It was crazy, but it was fun, right? And I have a couple of friends in my department, right? Computer science. Guys are in love with coding, right? They can code from now to tomorrow, and there is no stopping. All the ginger, all the fire. So they used to kind of like keep up with me of, oh, we heard you tried this. How did it go? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Right? What do you plan on doing next? At least that just gave me some encouragement, right? I wasn't alone. So there I learned like the fundamentals of that space, and also still working with Enactus to do a number of stuff, still going to communities. And then fast forward to the end of 2020, I mean, I'd met some doctors in my department that had, like, we're running really cool projects. Some of them have left the country now. They've relocated full time. Yeah. So they also gave me more exposure. And then I went to my IT, and that was like the top. That was the pinnacle of my experience in tech, because I worked in a Nigerian tech startup that is one of the few backed up by Y Combinator. I don't know if you know Y Combinator.
No, I don't.
Yeah. They're one of the big business incubators in the world right now. They're based in California, Silicon Valley. And so far in the past few years, they have pumped millions of dollars into Nigerian companies, Nigerian startups and African startups as a whole. But Nigeria has the largest chunk in Africa, right, to show you how much potential we have.
They are giving back.
Yeah, exactly. And insane. Like, these companies are insane. The company where I worked at is Kobo 360. They are a tech company that's centered on haulage. So basically, they're like the Uber for logistics. So you're looking at large crates, large containers, large manufacturing plants needing to push stuff out, both on land and water as well. So you just the way Uber works, you can pick up your phone, order the crates, put the price and everything, and it goes. And like, it was fun.
Stressful.
Yeah, it was crazy because meeting these guys, like, that's a lot of work, but they make it so seamless and brilliant guys. And because it's a tech, it's an internationally funded company. We also had international people as well. I mean, we had engineers that were former Amazon, employees and stuff, Indians, Pakistani.
So you really learned a lot.
Yeah, I met a lot of big people as well, and the oppression was there too. I mean, you go to the parking lot, you see this guy driving his Benz, you see this one.
No, your time.
Every time, I just like, me too, I want to blow, right? And that really pushed me to learn a lot more, because there's still so much to do in the space, right? And as we're seeing today, so many companies are coming up. You see guys are doing crazy stuff like Flutterwave, Paystack, and they are cashing out insanely, right? And that's an encouragement, right? Because as tough as Nigeria is, as terrible as some conditions might be, people are thriving. And people that are thriving are also pulling other people back up. Exactly. So for me, that's been my journey into tech so far, and there's still so much more to do and so many places to get to. And that's why, like I always boil back down to, is really, what do you want to do? What's the purpose? Whatever, if you find the purpose, you can figure out how to get there. So for me, that is the journey right now. I don't know, 30 years from now, maybe I can go venture into something else, right? But at least I can tell you, for the next couple of years, that is where I'm dedicating myself.
You don't have to be honest. I love your mindset, because a lot of people get it wrong, where they are like 3 wells, and they are digging the 3 wells at the same time. So I want to be a tech guy, I want to be a musician, I want to be a chef. You are doing it at the same time. But your mindset is, I want to be a tech guy, I want to be a business tycoon, but I am doing tech. And when I have finished drilling the well for tech, I enter business. And you are learning from your experiences. When you said your story about you leading Enactus, the first person that entered my head was the ruler of Dubai. At 18 years old, they gave this guy the what would I call it now? He led the country's military at 18, And there are people that are in Nigeria that are saying, I'm 18, I still need to enjoy, I still need to, they are like, Dubai had not made it. So for you to actually lead your military, he was not a military person. He went to London because London had the best military at that time. So he went to learn what London was doing, and he came back to his people to teach them. And now everybody knows Dubai, the best water park, Burj Khalifa, the biggest mall. Like they are incredible, very, very incredible, because he was focused. When I read his documentary, he said something. He said he wanted to do something, and they told him it's impossible. And he said nothing is impossible. I think they wanted to educate about 2 million children or so. They ended up educating like 10 million because he was focused. So I really love that about you. You, aside all you're doing, aside the fuck-ups, aside the being a leader, the responsibility, you're still looking ahead, you're still telling yourself, I want to know more about myself. It's a constant process and all that, which is really beautiful. So, would you like a life of passion, or would you say you picked tech and being a business tycoon because you wanted to have security, or because you wanted to live a life of passion?
Yeah. So I would say I chose a life well fitted, in that when you understand yourself, right, it gives you clarity more than anything. Because for me, passion is nice, but I find passion to be an aftermath. Passion follows purpose, right? I mean, we're in a world where today everybody preaches, do what you're passionate about. I don't preach against that, right? Do what you're passionate about. But by all means, also figure out what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. Because regardless of, the things you see today and like, some passions waver. Today I want to do this. Something happens and you change your mind tomorrow. It has to be this.
That's the thing. I believe everybody has a set goal that does not change. It's something that Simon Sinek said. You have your infinite goal and you have your finite goal. Your infinite goal never changes, no matter what. It is that goal that, okay, I'll give you an instance. He went to speak for Samsung and he went to speak for Apple. And he said after speaking with Samsung, he was sharing a ride with one of the directors. And the directors gave him like a
Microsoft Zulu.
Yes, exactly. And he gave it, and they were like, and he was like, oh, this is better. He told the Apple's director, he said, okay, this is better than the iPod. I tried it. And the Apple's director was like, that's cool. That's very calm. So while Samsung is trying to beat Apple's mind is, okay, I'm trying to create technologies for people that will elevate them. So that's goal that they had, that's infinite mindset of trying to elevate people using technology. It never changed. It has always been there since day one. So it's the same thing with your passion. If it changes, I believe that it was not meant for you. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, that's why I there's a converging point, right? That's why I say purpose, they go hand in hand. They shouldn't be isolated. Because just like Apple has that infinite goal, if you notice, infinite goals are not detail specific, right? Look at how Steve Jobs says it. I want to put a dent in the universe. It did not say I want to build the biggest office in California or in the whole of America. That's a very limited goal, right? When you give yourself that kind of purpose of we want to put a dent in the universe, next thing is how do we do it? How do we change people's lives? How do you do it? And for me, that is it, right? For me, tech and business are channels to do that because, one, I love engaging with people, right? I'm also, I'm very mobile. I like going from place to place, right? It tells even in kind of devices I carry things are very light because if I need to move, I need to move, right? And for me, tech enables that because, one, tech is highly scalable, right? For example, let me give you an instance. If you build a house, right, a bungalow, it can only contain, give or take, maybe 5, 10, 20 people living in it at a time, right? If you want to scale that, you have to what? Add layers and add layers. But with technology, if I have an app that can accommodate 10 people on the site, with just a good amount of money, I can change the infrastructure of that app to accommodate 30, 50, thousands of people at a much cheaper rate of if I said I wanted to change the house. Do you get that scalability that technology gives you? Is fun.
So if you are new to this channel, please like this video, subscribe, and share. It helps the YouTube video and its algorithm reach people that want change. Thank you.